Good evening. Welcome back to another coffee hour. I'm your host, Seth Rosczewski, and today we're going to be talking about The Great Gatsby. Last week, and I believe the week prior, we discussed Dracula, which is still by far one of my favorite books out there. But today it is The Great Gatsby. I've read this book twice, and I watched the, I think it was 2022 movie. And that movie I think it was pretty good. Now, I'd seen some stuff online saying that the movie was not up to par with the book, but with everything, trying to create such a complicated book and put it onto one movie, it's a little much. But anyways, yeah. So today I'm here to break down The Great Gatsby for anybody that's tuning in a little bit later. And if you guys want to, you guys can send a couple comments into YouTube. I have the live chat pulled up right here. So feel free to shoot me a couple of messages, thoughts, ideas. I will respond. I got 2 coffees here. So you guys got until I finish my 2 coffees or until I think that I have, finished or until I'm done. What I'm drinking today is I'm drinking 2 different coffee by Seth Rosczewski. I'm drinking the 6-bean blend. Which I'm pretty much working through the bag right now. I probably got about 1 more roast in that thing. And then I got the Breakfast Blend Plus cooking on this one right here. So I'm going to start with 6-bean blend, which is a bit of a darker. And then I'm going to go right to the Breakfast Blend, which is a bit lighter. I don't recommend drinking 2 full cups of coffee at 8:11 at night unless you are a professional like me. I am a ultra professional with the coffee scene. So I don't recommend it unless you have the stamina that I have for coffee. So without anything further, I'm just going to jump right on into this breakdown. And I want to premise the conversations first by saying that I am not an English professor. I'm not an English teacher. I didn't go to college for English. I didn't do anything. So what I'm doing right now is I'm taking the layman's approach. I'm viewing it from the layman's point of view. So if I make a mistake, if I make an error, please feel free to correct me in a polite way. I will respond to you. Coffee hours don't get much traction, so the comments I see a lot more. I see a lot more of the comments, and I like to respond to everybody if I can. But if the video obviously goes viral, like most of them do, then it's harder for me to keep track. But if you're early and soon enough and the video doesn't do as well, I'll be in the comment section. So we're going to start off with a character breakdown. And honestly, my favorite character, is not the main character, my favorite character is Jay Gatsby. The name of the book. And the reason Jay Gatsby is my favorite character is because he has a core problem, but he's so good around the edges. And his core problem is that he can get everything that he wants, but he can't get the one thing that he wants. And the one thing that he wants is behind him in time. I'm going to get into symbolism a little bit, but because the book is really heavily influenced on symbolism, this will, a lot of things are probably going to overlap. So I'm going to start off with one of my favorite pieces of the book is when Gatsby finally convinces Nick to invite Daisy over for a tea. To invite Daisy over for, tea. I think it was tea. I'm pretty sure it was tea. Gatsby floods the house, especially in the movie. He floods the house with flowers. He gets the garden or the grass done up. House is looking extra, to say the least. And, Daisy comes over and she's impressed. She's impressed, not because she's impressed with the decor, but she's impressed with the material items themselves. Daisy's very interested in items. She's not so much interested in personality. That's one of Daisy's flaws, but it's something that, works with Gatsby because Gatsby's so obsessive about items themselves, and he has a hard time with the personality until he starts to get comfortable, which we really see in the movie when after he's throwing the shirts and then it does like a whole cut scene, and the cut scene is, I think, of the pianos playing and they're just kind of sitting there talking. And even more at the end of the tea scene, at the very beginning when they first meet, right before they go back to Gatsby's grand mansion. But one of my favorite parts about that tea scene is the clock. How Gatsby's flaw, one of the flaws that he has, other than it's thought that he earned his money illegally. One of the flaws that he has that's made very noticeable to the character or to the reader, and even with the narrator of the book, Nick, the flaw is that he cannot turn back time. And that's the biggest problem for Gatsby, is that he can get anything in the world, but he can't get the past. And what he's chasing so desperately is the past. He's not chasing Nick. I'm sorry. He's not chasing Daisy. He's chasing the house that Daisy grew up in. He's chasing the idea of Daisy. He's chasing that past. And what's beautifully done in the book, and even so in the movie, was Gatsby fumbling the clock falling down, the clock shattering, and then them talking about the clock. Yep, the clock is really nice. Yep, great. Almost in like, we had a past, but okay, here we are now. And what are we doing? It's kind of Daisy's approach to that conversation. So, like, what is this? So Gatsby, without getting deeper into symbolism, because symbolism is something that I desperately want to cover. It's something that I really want to cover, but I'm not going to get too far into it. Yet. This might be a 2-part coffee hour, kind of like how I did Dracula. But Dracula is a much larger book. The Great Gatsby is only 100 and something pages, maybe 200 pages. I think it's 9 chapters. 9 chapters, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 9 chapters. But it, just kind of just flies by. So we have Jay Gatsby, and where, I already told you where he got his money. He got his money from, the prospective idea is bootlegging. But who is Gatsby? Gatsby is someone who fantasizes until it becomes reality. But the thing is that he doesn't live in reality. Gatsby is a dreamer, and he wants to build this life that is going to attract Daisy. He's trying to be the biggest magnet that he can. And it's ironic that he's across the lake. Granted, it was due to design, but he wants to attract Daisy, and that's why he throws these very luxurious parties. That's why he bought and built this luxurious mansion. That's why he built the lifestyle that he has, is because he's a dreamer, and it symbolizes the corrupted American dream, that to achieve that you need to, in some way, be corrupted, as cliche as it is. But I can't get across that Gatsby is absolutely obsessed with Daisy. It's every day. Every decision that he makes is based off of Daisy herself. Now, I don't really want to... I'm going to talk about Nick next, because Nick is the narrator, and then I'll get into Daisy. But Nick Carraway is a young man who is chasing success in his own ways, not in the ways that Jay Gatsby is, or James Gatz is chasing success. Their definition of success is completely different. And everybody's definition of success is different. Mine might be different than yours, and yours is definitely different than mine. But what Nick values as success, from what I understood, who keeps texting me? Emails, whatever. But what I understood from success that Nick is looking for is he's looking for peace, and he's looking for calm, and he's looking for a decent job. He's kind of just content with the norm. Like, he just wants his nice house. He just wants to relax. He just wants to hang out. He wants to do his thing. And he wants to not live in poverty, but he also is looking to kind of make friends and just kind of be who he is. That's different than Gatsby, and that's different than Daisy. Daisy's after the best material items that she can get, and that's why she cries when Gatsby throws the shirts over the railing, and she's crying because of the fabrics. But we'll get into symbolism in just a minute. Seth, relax. Take a sip of my coffee right here. 6-bean blend. delicious, strong but delicious. I just ordered Mexican chocolate. I ordered a breakfast blend plus because I'm kind of running low on breakfast blend. And then I ordered whiskey barrel aged, as I had talked about in my most recent podcast that I released with Rich. Rich is such a guy. But I released with Rich. We just talked about the JFK and Lee Harvey Oswald situation that happened in the 60s. Very interesting episode. I suggest you watch it if you want facts. It's not hypothetical. It's just facts. Back to The Great Gatsby, because that's what we're here for. Who is Daisy? Daisy is married to Tom, and they share the last name Buchanan. Daisy met Tom, I think it was like a year and some months after Gatsby had went off to war. Gatsby had a successful career in the military, being awarded different, I guess medals, if you'd call them, or coins, like challenge coins, I guess, or just kind of like little things that state the appreciation from that particular sergeant, general, whatever you want to call it. But she meets Tom after Gatsby goes away, and Tom is the standard that she's looking for, not as far as personality, but as far as finances. She's looking for someone who has a grand mansion. She's looking for someone who's relatively handsome, and she's looking for someone that can take care of her requests and desires financially. That's all that Daisy really cares about is financially, and is finances. And it could be made, the argument could be made, and I would have to agree with you, that Daisy does care about the past. She admits that she loved Gatsby at one time, but she also was in love with Tom, which is a mind blow to Jay. But to Tom as well, Tom's just kind of like, yeah, I know, obviously. That's how life works. But because Gatsby doesn't live in reality, he doesn't understand that. So here we are. Tom Buchanan, old money, very, very luxurious. And old money is always looking down on new money because they don't share the same schooling that I do. They don't share the same history that I do. That's why Jay is always flexing that he goes to Oxford and how smart he is. Look at how great I am, this, that, education. Look how good I am, family tradition. We always go to Oxford. That's why he's doing that, is because old money doesn't respect new money. And old money, on the other side of that, Tom doesn't respect Gatsby because of the finances. This book is all about finances. Who's Jordan Baker, another major character and one of Nick's love affairs throughout the novel. Jordan Baker is a professional golfer, and she's Daisy's friend. We are first introduced to, I see there's a bunch of you guys in the chat. Throw some comments down below. Talk to me. Say what's up. How you guys doing? I just got off dinner, so feel free to shoot me a message, and if I get some cool questions, I'll just answer those and pick it back up. But who is Jordan? Jordan, pro golfer, doing real well for herself, and she has a love affair with Nick. And she's very blunt, too. That's kind of the attitude that I got, was that she's blunt and very direct. Like, shh, I want to hear what they're talking about, because Tom is having an affair with this girl Myrtle, who's up next for a character analysis real quick. And that whole situation at the very beginning of the book, when Nick is invited over for dinner or supper, as they call it, at the Buchanan's home or Grand Mansion. Myrtle Wilson. Who's Myrtle Wilson? Another very important character. Myrtle Wilson is Tom Buchanan's mistress. Myrtle Wilson lives in the Valley of Ashes. She is not classy. Tom does not respect her. He looks at her like property. He looks at her like like you will serve me. And we see that as we get closer to the party that Tom invites Myrtle to. If you haven't read the book or seen the movie, then this is going to get really confusing because I'm going to reference things that you're not going to understand. So I'd recommend, if you haven't seen the movie, you can finish watching this. It might give you a good idea of the characters, but definitely go watch the movie and then read the book or listen to the audiobook. It'll give you a good idea of what I'm talking about. But Myrtle Wilson has a tragic ending, and Myrtle's, like everybody, chasing something. Everybody has their own idea of the American dream. And what is the American dream for Myrtle? The American dream for Myrtle is trying to figure out a way to get rich, trying to figure out a way to get into new money. And then Gatsby's trying to figure out a way to get out of new money and into old money. And, Tom is trying to figure out a way to conquer the world, basically. And within all that, have his fun. And his fun is Myrtle on the side. There are a couple major themes when we're in The Great Gatsby, and how we, when we start to analyze the book, there's a bunch of major themes. One of the major themes that I've already mentioned is corruption of the American dream. How is the American dream corrupt? It's because when the American dream first got introduced to people coming overseas, chasing the American dream, coming from all different sorts of countries, coming from overseas, Italy, France, South America, Canada, everywhere. The American dream was something that they were after. Starting from nothing and ending up building something, and then passing that down to your children, or passing that down to your grandchildren and your family forever, and building that American dream up and becoming new money, right where Gatsby is. Gatsby's kind of on the extreme of new money because he's so wealthy, he throws money around like crazy, which we see when he offers Nick a job part-time, or I guess part-time, but for full-time wages, just for getting a date with Daisy that he's not even really like technically invited to. He just shows up out of nowhere, but it's all planned and pre-scripted. So that's the corruption of the American dream, is that the American dream is not real in the sense of we're going to work hard, tighten our shoes and, strap on some gloves and go do this. It's more in the way of, okay, we're going to sell outlawed alcohol and bootleg, and we're going to make a fortune doing that. And that's exactly how Jay made his money. And yeah. And what else do we have for themes? We have class. Class is a huge theme, from West Egg to East Egg to the Valley of Ashes, and then to the city, which is kind of intermingled with the Valley of Ashes. It's kind of on the same layer, but the city represents opportunity, where the Valley of Ashes represents desire and just poverty. West Egg and East Egg, I think it's West Egg is old money, and West Egg is new money, East Egg is old money. I think I might have that backwards. I should have wrote that down, but I might have that backwards. But just tell me in the comments if I'm incorrect. But you get the point. So it's kind of broken up into 4 different sections. You got city, Valley of Ashes, East Egg, West Egg. And they're all the main characters are scattered throughout. The only person as to who I'm not sure where they reside is Jordan. But if I had to make a bet, it's in the same egg that the Buchanans live on, Tom and Daisy, because Gatsby and Nick live on the other side. And it's funny how all these people are sort of allies, right? So you got Nick and Gatsby, or Nick and Jay. They're on like the same team, right? But then you have the Buchanans, who are also on the same team. And then you also have Jordan, who's on the same team as the Buchanans. Something that just came to my mind that I forgot to mention that might clear this up if you don't know what I'm talking about is that Daisy is Nick's cousin. That's why he sets up that tea date that I described at the very beginning. Daisy's Nick's cousin. And so they're kind of like long lost cousins, and they get to see each other, and they're just like, oh my God, hi, it's been forever. What are you doing? Where do you live? Oh, you live next to Gatsby? Ooh, I haven't seen Gatsby in a while. Who's Gatsby? Oh, no one. Someone that I just met. It's that kind of deal. Someone you haven't seen in like 10 years or so. I'm going to take a little sip because my throat's getting dry. Good old coffeebyseth.com. All right. We also have, now that we went over class, we also have illusion versus reality. Tom, he kind of lives in reality. Nick kind of lives in reality. Nick lives in reality with Jordan. They're like the top tier for living in reality. Gatsby's way down the bottom because Gatsby throws these big parties that are just illusions just into hope to attract Daisy, who lives across the bay. She lives like across the lake, and their houses are kind of like this with a giant lake in the middle. And he's hoping that all the lights and the noise and the cars and the ruckus is going to attract her from her window and be like, oh, maybe, hey, Tom, maybe we should go down there. And Gatsby's throwing these parties for years. Everybody's invited. Gangsters were invited. Politicians, they said that they were swapping phone numbers or sharing drinks or something like that in the book. They kind of made a quote about that, like, everybody was here. The poor people were here. The rowdy crew were here. People from high school dropouts were here. Highly educated people were here. Billionaires, TV directors is someone that they mentioned. So everyone kind of went to his parties, but the kicker was that, hey, who's Gatsby? Oh, I don't know. I've never seen him. Hey, do you know who Gatsby is? No, I have no idea. I've never seen him. It's an illusion because they all love Gatsby, but they've never seen the guy before. They have no idea who he is. They have no clue. It's hot in here. They have no clue who he is. So it's an illusion and not reality. Nick kind of walks in reality because he's the only person, to his knowledge, that gets a written invitation from Gatsby. And from what I was told, from what I read, that was a pretty luxurious way to receive an invitation. Two people came out of a high-end car and basically presented him this invitation, and we're like, we'd be honored if you would come to our party that's right next door that's happening over the weekend. And Nick accepts and does the whole thing, and he finally cracks the code. Him and Jordan are kind of like on like a mini date together. They kind of just run into each other there, and they meet Gatsby. So they break that I guess that spell of not knowing who Gatsby is, because no one knew. Nick had asked servants, no clue. Nick had asked just typical party goers or people that have been there many times, no idea. They had no clue. So it's that kind of illusion, and Gatsby is portraying this illusion. Now, what's another theme? You have money versus morality. Now, what do I mean by that? Because this whole book, all that I've talked about this entire book is wealth and finances and money. That's the only thing that this book is about. But then you also have morality. Where does that lie? And the biggest part of where, the wealth versus the morality is with Myrtle getting run over. Myrtle is chasing wealth so much that she runs in front of what she thought was Tom Buchanan's vehicle, and gets struck by the car. Unbeknownst to her, it's actually Gatsby, who's portraying the most wealth. So Myrtle gets killed by what she's after. See how it works? So you get that form of symbolism is Myrtle dies in the pursuit of happiness or the pursuit of wealth. There's a couple different ways that you can do that, and there's a couple different ways that you can create that that theme itself, I guess, or that symbolism. And then you also have obsession versus idealism, or So Gatsby is obsessed. And it's like the polar opposite of what's ideal for him. The best thing for Gatsby is to just try to find a reasonable girl who's not money hungry. But his pursuit and his obsession with Daisy ends up costing him his life. I forget the shop owner's name. Oh, I'm blanking. Anybody in the comments, what's the shop owner's name? Oh, it's killing me. The garage shop owner's name, Myrtle's husband. It's killing me. I just read the book. Whatever. The Myrtle's husband hears about this accident because it happened right in front of him. He saw it with his eyes. He saw the vehicle, and he finally learns through Tom Buchanan that oh my God, that Gatsby hit Myrtle. So what does he do? Tom endorses revenge on Gatsby. He kind of gives him the lowdown as to who he is, and the shop owner does his own little thing, and he goes and he basically executes Gatsby while Gatsby's finally enjoying his wealth for the first time. Gatsby didn't really enjoy his wealth. Now, I'm sure there were benefits to living in a grand mansion. Don't get me wrong. I do not live in a grand mansion. I wish I did, but I don't. There's one right down the street from me. Beautiful. But so Gatsby dies in the pursuit of, I guess just happiness, or in the pursuit of his obsession. And it comes back to bite him. And what I was getting at by Gatsby dies by the first time of him enjoying his wealth is because Gatsby says throughout the book that, hey, old sport, addressing Nick, I haven't used the pool at all this summer, right? It really seems the only thing that Gatsby uses are like lighters, like fancy lighters if he were to buy them, in his cars, or his car, because we only hear about one car. Though I'm sure he has many. And possibly like a chef. Like, I know that they discussed like the kitchen staff not really being there, but yeah, so that's kind of where that is. So the first time that he goes to use one of his assets, the summer, he gets killed doing it. And it's ironically one of the only times that Gatsby's really vulnerable. I mean, what's more vulnerable than literally laying in a body of water, staring up at the sun? You're blind, you can't see anything, and someone just comes out of here, hey, blasts him with a 38. I think it was a 38. Did I just pull that out of nowhere? Let me know in the comments. This is live. Yeah, so now I really feel like I'm kind of getting into the symbolism. So I'm going to go into symbolism. And there's a lot of it. There's a lot of symbolism. And the first symbol that we see in the book is Nick Carraway meets Gatsby. Not officially, but he sees Gatsby. Now he's aware that Gatsby actually is a real person and not just a myth. So he sees Gatsby. Gatsby's standing at his dock, and he's looking out at what? We don't really know. But he's looking out, and we see that he's looking at this green light. This green light, which happens to be on the end of the Buchanan's, Tom and Daisy, dock. This green light basically just symbols, hey, there's land here, don't hit it with your boat. And Gatsby's staring at it, and he's holding his hand up as like he's trying to grab it, right? Breakfast blend, delicious. So it really showcases, it's a symbol for two things. One, it's a symbol for everything that Gatsby's chasing is right in front of him, but he can't get it. And two, it's a symbol, because it's a green light, what does green symbolize? Money. Money. It's money. Gatsby's chasing money in the pursuit of getting Daisy. So it's kind of like a double whammy, right? And then one of the other biggest pieces of symbolism in this book are the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckleburg, right? Am I saying that right? Yeah, Dr. T.J. Eckleburg. What are the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckleburg? If any of my old English teachers are in this, you guys should be giving me a thumbs up, because I read this book in high school and I BS'd the entire assignment. I wish I had it. I'd read it. But I don't have it. The folder got deleted off my email. But, okay, so the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckleburg are a billboard that's looking over the Valley of Ashes. And the Valley of Ashes is the working class, the blue collar, the people who are getting dirty, getting the job done. So that's the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckleburg, is they're looking over him. And what are the eyes? The eyes are an advertisement for eye care specialist Dr. T.J. Eckleburg. And the way they describe it is you have eyes on a billboard, and they have glasses going over them, right? But you don't really see the bridges, right? Or I'm sorry, you don't see whatever the parts. I don't wear glasses. The frame. You don't really see the frame. You see the bridge. You see the lenses, but it's a noseless face. So, and you don't see the mouth either. You just kind of see like this section, and it's on the billboard, Dr. TJ Eckleburg. It's a form of advertisement for that company. That is, in short, what what those eyes are. But it symbolizes much more, because the eyes of Dr. TJ Eckleburg are located right above Myrtle's shop, Myrtle's home. They live in the shop. Myrtle, Daisy, Tom's mistress, lives in the Valley of Ashes, and the eyes are looking right over her house. Now, if I'm going to reference something, that I spoke about a few minutes ago, was how Myrtle died right in front of her home in the Valley of Ashes, and the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckleburg were looking over. And what the eyes are symbolized as is God. It's God watching all of this. It's a higher power, higher than anybody that can create, is looking over everything that's happening. And, God saw Gatsby hit Myrtle. God saw Tom pick up Daisy at the Wilson's garage. I think it's George Wilson. I think that's the name of the shop owner. It's blank. I wish I had the book right here. I'd look it up in half a second. I could find it. But so basically, God is seeing everything, and people start to address the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckleburg in a slight way, not like having full conversations of it, but like, wow. Nick especially is like, wow, they see everything. They see everything from an unfiltered point of view. So that's kind of what the eyes of Dr. T.J. Eckleburg. And it's really just kind of looking over the decay of society, the decay of the American dream, in a sense, right? And next up, as for symbolism, I have the Valley of Ashes. And this Valley of Ashes is what it is. It's again, the decay of the economy, or the decay of the social circle and social collapse. Everything's just fallen down, and everybody who is taking the L for the rich to get richer is in the Valley of Ashes. And everybody in the Valley of Ashes wants to get out. Everybody who's not in the Valley of Ashes wants to stay away from there. And it's kind of ironic that Tom goes and finds a girl that lives in the Valley of Ashes, because it's like not his type. Like Daisy and Myrtle are like two opposites, literally polar opposites. Myrtle is loud and annoying, and Daisy is well-spoken, and they're both obsessed with money. So maybe they're not totally opposites, but they're both obsessed with money. But the only difference is that Daisy has money because her father and her parents were rich, and Myrtle has no money, and she plays rich, which we see when, I want that dog, or I want, I'm going to put on a nice dress. I'm going to talk and boss people around. But Tom quickly puts her in check. Symbolism, yeah, I talked about I'm about halfway through on my notes here, which is perfect because I'm about halfway through with the episode here. I already talked about the Gatsby's mansion and parties. The grand parties is a symbol for the Jazz Age, which is when this book was written, was the Jazz Age. And we can see that through the bands that are played, and especially in the movie, the soundtrack. Everything's all jazz related, even if it's modern jazz or old school jazz, and re-recorded. It's all jazz, so it's all in the Jazz Age. This book is bringing you to that, and that's where it is. So Gatsby's Mansion is a symbol of the Jazz Age. So I was wrong. So East Egg is old money and West Egg is new money. So yeah, I already kind of went over that. East Egg, old money. West Egg, new money. They don't like each other. They bounce. They look East Egg and old money look down on West Egg and new money. They look down, but West Egg wants to get there. So it's kind of like a type of thing. It's kind of like seniors versus freshmen in high school. Like, hey, everyone pick on the freshmen, or everyone boo the freshmen at the pep rally. But low-key, the freshmen want to be the seniors because they're running the town or they're running the school. So it's kind of like that. Like, they don't want to be them, but them want to be they, if you will. Symbolism, cars, I put down. It especially in the movie, again, because you can actually see it, but you also can read about it in the book. It shows the recklessness that these rich are willing to go to. Driving erratic, going crazy, shows off the wealth. That's all symbolism. It's all symbolism. And we really see it with cars when Gatsby irritates either a bicycle or a motorbike. I think it was a motorbike police officer. And the motorbike police officer is like, hey, pull over. And Gatsby just like pulls out like a card out of his suit jacket and shows the card. And the bicycle cop, especially in the movie, like leans in and he's reading it. And he's like, what is that? And then he realizes, oh, sorry, Mr. Gatsby, tips his hat to him and falls back. Oh, it won't happen again. Sorry. No big deal. And the way Gatsby kind of just explains that away is, oh, I did the commissioner. Commissioner, is that the language he used? I think so. Correct me if I'm wrong. He uses the language, the commissioner, I did the commissioner a favor. I'm not sure how, especially where Gatsby's like the polar opposite of what the commissioner should be associating with. One's a bootlegger, one's law enforcement, but who knows? With the American dream having become corrupted, you don't really know. Or maybe Gatsby stabbed somebody in the back. I'm just speculating here. I don't actually have the answers for that. Unfortunately, we'll never know because the author, Francis Scott Key Fitzgerald, is no longer with us. He was born a while ago. All right. Gatsby shirts is a small symbol, but it's legit. In the mansion, after Nick invites Daisy over, Daisy, Nick, and Gatsby go to Jay Gatsby's house. Gatsby's showing off the property. He's showing everybody everything. And Daisy's just wide-eyed and ready to go. She's in love with it because it's cool. And it's exactly what she's looking for. So throughout all of this, we kind of get in the movie and in the book, but you can actually see it in the movie. We get Daisy's like falling in love with the place, and she's in this like mystical vibe, I guess, if you will, for modern language, in this like trance of just objects, and oh my God, look at all this wealth, and Gatsby's like, I did it for you, like I had you in mind the whole time. And the layout is Daisy's on like the bottom floor, but there's like a spiral staircase, I guess, or there's like an upper floor that's kind of like boxed in, right? And Gatsby's walking on the edge of that, and what he's doing is he's taking all his clothes. It's basically a ginormous walk-in closet, huge walk-in closet, like the size of like a living room stacked on top of each other. And Gatsby's taking his clothes, his ironed, perfect, never worn shirts, because he doesn't use his wealth, and he's throwing his shirts, and the wrinkles are coming out, and he's throwing the shirts, and the wrinkles are coming out, and he's throwing them, and he's throwing them, and he's throwing them, and they're falling on Daisy. And what I took as the wrinkles were coming out, because that's how they described it in the book, and especially in the movie, because you could actually see it, because they actually threw the fabric, was you're actually starting. Now everything's coming together. Now everything's falling out, and you're seeing everything. You're not just seeing what you want to portray, which is just the folded, clean cut shirt, but now that the shirt's coming out, is you're seeing Daisy's true colors. And what I mean by that is because right as he's throwing all the shirts, Daisy starts to tear up. She starts to cry. And what does she say when Gatsby comes down? He notices, oh my God, she's crying. He stops throwing the shirts. Maybe afraid he hurt her somehow, but he does. He stops throwing the shirts. He runs downstairs. Daisy, what's wrong? Daisy, what's going on? What's wrong? These are just the most beautiful shirts I've ever seen. The fabric is so soft. I've never seen shirts like this before, she says. And that is the time where the reader really gets a true taste of who Daisy is. She's not crying over the joy that she's having. She's crying because of the materials, of the items. And that showcases who Daisy is as a whole. So that's what Gatsby's shirts are. Gatsby's shirts are kind of the revealing of Daisy's character for the first time that we can actually see. Because we can see it a little bit in the beginning of the book. We can see it a lot in the movie because everything's like so magical in the Buchanan's home. Yeah, and in the book, we see a lot of the same colors, or we hear about a lot of the same colors. In the movie, we see a lot of the same colors. It's a lot of white to show purity, but they're actually not pure. We see a lot of gold to show wealth, and we show a lot of yellow to show wealth. And I guess the yellow and gold can be a sign of staining, which can show wealth corruption, especially with Gatsby, because Gatsby, throughout the whole book, Tom is accusing Gatsby of coming across this was fate. I love the shirt scene. Yeah, the shirt scene in the movie was really good. If that's what you're referring to, 95,000. If you're referring to the shirt scene in the movie, it was done really well. The camera work was awesome. And in the book, I had to like read it twice because like it was hard to understand what was going on. But if you're referring to the movie, then the movie, I think, I saw a lot of hate on the movie, but I thought the movie was done really well. I'm not talking about the first one that came out that Fitzgerald absolutely hated and walked out of the theater is what I heard. The first one, like in the early 1900s, like the 1930s, I think is when that first movie came out. But yeah, no, So I agree with you. The shirt scene was really cool, and it kind of showcases Daisy as a whole. If you agree with me, let me know if you agree with me. I got a bunch of people in here watching, I think. So let me know if you guys agree with me on that one. But the color, yes, all right, cool. Word. Nadi's on board with me. Word. So that means I'm doing something right. But the color gold, white, the color gold and yellow kind of symbolize the staining of the American dream. All this kind of comes down to the American dream. It is really what it comes down to, the American dream and finances. And it shows the decay of that, where white shows purity, but none of them are actually pure. I'm pretty sure it was George Wilson was the garage owner. For some reason, I'm like blanking on that. That happens when I do these. Sometimes I blank on like a really random specific, and it kind of kills me. But the only person, I guess, who was pure and actually stuck to his roots was George Wilson, if I get the name right. The owner of Wilson's shop, the mechanic. He was, I guess, the only person that was pure because he stuck to his tendencies. Hey, when are you going to sell me that car? Hey, that car, your mechanic's taking forever. Well, then don't sell me the car. I don't know what to tell you. And then he revenges Myrtle, the person who he loved, by assassinating or murdering Gatsby. That's a good question. What qualifies an assassination over a murder? Because today's podcast that I shot yesterday morning, but released this morning, we discussed the assassination of JFK. So I guess it's kind of the theme of this weekend is assassinations. But the assassination of Gatsby, can be, I guess, credited to Wilson's what do you call it? Just purity and his foundation as to where he wants to be. Take a quick little sip right here. All right, a little bit about the author. I think I'm going to call it that. Francis Scott Key Fitzgerald, born 18. This is where I have to reference my notes because the numbers and all that stuff. You don't read about this; you have to research it, and it's a lot to remember. But 1896 to 1940, and what happened in that date? Well, especially if you're in the United States, or really at that point anywhere in the world, we had World War I. We had a little bit of World War II towards the end of his life. Actually, no. The U.S. entered World War I think, in 1941. So not even World War II, just the Great War. That they didn't call it World War I. when World War I was happening. They called it the Great War. So we have the Great War, and that's where a lot of the foundation of Gatsby's character came about. Now, I had actually heard from a different YouTube video. I always reference different YouTubers because I need to make sure that a lot of what I'm saying is true and a lot of my ideas make sense. But Fitzgerald took a lot of his experiences where a girl left him due to wealth. And it's ironic because now he's one of the most famous authors on the planet. And I guess his story can kind of be related to a bit of Nick and Gatsby kind of like combined, because he was kind of just scraping by. And his girlfriend at the time, right when he released the Great Gatsby, or right when he released his first book, which I don't know what his first book was. I don't know what his first title was, Fitzgerald's. But I remember a story of his girlfriend was like, I'm not going to marry you until you actually get a published book. Yeah. Message retracted. Yeah, that's something. Okay, cool. Or just fix it, throw it in the chat. I get these pretty quickly, so if you guys want me to talk about something, I'm kind of nearing the last like 1/5 of what I got for prepared material. So if you guys got something for me, you guys want me to address something, I'll do the best that I can, even if it's a little bit off topic. I just read Dracula, and I'm about halfway through The Count of Monte Cristo. So if you guys want me to talk about those books, I will. I'm about 33 chapters into The Count of Monte Cristo. Extremely complicated book. Really, honestly, epic, if you want to call it that. Or Dracula. Dracula, hands down, my favorite book ever. Love it. That book is so good. And I also want to do something on Dracula's Guest, too, because that one was a little confusing. I need a little assistance with Dracula's Guest. It's shorter, but it's a bit more confusing and fast-paced. But back to where we are. Back on Fitzgerald and The Great Gatsby. So his girlfriend at the time was like, I'm not going to marry you until you show me that you're successful and that you show me that you can actually create wealth and create an income for us. So once he published the first book, she married him. And I remember hearing a story about how his girlfriend, or his wife at that point, left him for another man who was richer, which is really where we get the foundation of Gatsby. As a character, James Gatz. No, this is cool. Really interesting. So excited that I came across your YouTube. Oh, thank you so much. I was originally doing, what do you call it? Like interviews and stuff like that. Like it really started with me really wanting to learn. Okay, this is where the channel started and how it kind of evolved to where we are now. The channel started years ago as a car repair podcast because I was too cheap to fix cars on my own. Too cheap to pay someone to do it. So I wanted to save money to do it myself. And I started documenting stuff because I get really irritated not getting the proper information. So I started documenting it. And then it kind of grew into, very recently this past year, was interviews. Again, because I couldn't find accurate information on the internet about, at that point, it was politics. And I wanted to try to sit down with local politicians. So the story of how the channel kind of grew was I had a connection with a local state senator where I'm from, Massachusetts. So I interviewed him, and then I interviewed a professional athlete, and then I just kind of had a couple more interviews. And then I met Rich, who's like the backbone of my show. And Rich and I really did well together. We had our first interview with Rich pop off. And if you're into true crime, I highly suggest that you watch some of our stuff. The later content is obviously better than the beginning, just because now we have an actual foundation and like a structure. But the beginning content really took off really well. And so it kind of went true crime. But then I was like, I'm reading these books and I'm trying to expand my knowledge. So why don't I start doing these little coffee hour chats? It's bonus material for the people who review or watch my channel. And it's something for me to do. Like, I just had dinner. I had nothing else to do tonight. What was I going to do? Sit down and watch TV? Might as well try to just talk to my audience. And this is a really good time for you guys to like just talk with me if you guys have questions so that I can address them. Because I have a lot of people like write me really nasty comments sometimes and they like hurt my feelings. But then I don't actually have the chance to discuss it with them because they don't respond to my replies. So with this, I'm actually able to like respond to you. So I love this. And it's free. It's free entertainment too, which is great. And I have a blast doing it. So that's kind of where the channel kind of took place. And I'm so happy that you came across the channel too, because I love having people enjoy the coffee hour stuff. The coffee hour stuff isn't as popular as the podcast is just because I'm not hitting the names. Like we just did the JFK assassination today. I don't think that this is going to hit the popularity of the JFK video will just because of what it is. But I feel like this audience is much better than the JFK audience. Love the background info on the author too. Don't stop explaining your knowledge. I love going back to the classics. Also into true crime. The interviewing is awesome. Oh, I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I have a blast doing this, and you know, this doesn't cost me any money to do, so I don't plan on stopping this. It's fun. I have a good time, and I'm able to kind of document my thoughts. Often I find myself rewatching my content from earlier. Like I can't wait to, you know, couple years down the line, say this coffee thing takes off. I've also been interested. I've been talking to a couple of people, and I think I'm going to film. I am going to film next Sunday. It'll be a live. It'll be the same format as this, just kind of one camera, where the podcast is like 3 cameras. But this is just one camera, and it'll be a cigar night. And what the cigar night is, it's either for me to just kind of talk to you guys similar to this, but just in a different location out on my patio, by myself or with a friend of mine. And I'm having my friend Will come on, and we're going to discuss things that are a little bit more political. And it's never going to get nasty. I'm never going to make crazy accusations. I'm coming from a place of wanting to learn. So that's where the podcast, the base of the podcast is wanting to learn more about the subject at hand and passing along any breakdown or knowledge that I can give, you know, just from my point of view. But that's kind of what it is. It's kind of just, the cigar night is, okay, I might have my friends over my house anyways to smoke a cigar, and we might have these really interesting and intellectual conversations about a subject at hand. I might as well just kind of share my thoughts. It's not going to hurt anyone. And if people don't like the content, they can just tune it off. It's no big deal, but it's kind of just creating like a sense of community. I love talking to you guys, and it's always a blast. I have so much fun doing this. And it's an hour out of my life, and I get to talk about something that I enjoy, reading these books. But yeah, so what else do I have for notes? Famous work for Fitzgerald is The Side of Paradise, The Beautiful and Damned, The Great Gatsby, Tender is the Night, and The Last Tycoon. I've only read The Great Gatsby, but because he did such a good job with The Great Gatsby, much like how Bram Stoker did with Dracula, I plan on reading these other titles. Like with Stoker, I plan on reading In Other Weird Stories. And what I mean by that is Dracula's Guest is in a collection called Dracula's Guest and Other Weird Stories. So I plan on reading all those other weird stories, and on an individual basis, I haven't yet decided, but on an individual basis, talking about the stories, like on like one coffee hour on The Judge's House, or actually no, that's not The Judge's House, or any of the other weird stories, have a particular coffee hour on them, or just as a whole. But I feel like that would be like a 3-hour episode, which would really suck, or not suck, but just it'd be taxing, because I'd have to prep so much material and I'd have to talk for so long. There's no break on this, and coffee's not really good for keeping the throat going over a long duration of time. Kind of like how tea is. Let me read this comment right here. Don't worry about the nasty comments. Honestly, and trying to understand and learn is lovely. Even with the politics, when is the cigar night? Especially if we talk politics. Yeah, so the cigar night will be next Sunday. Will lives about an hour and a half from me. So he'll be coming down. He's going to do dinner. This is actually my dining room table. So he's going to be coming down, doing dinner with the girlfriend and I, and we're going to sit down. We're going to talk. And that won't be on camera. That'll just kind of be like hey, we're friends. We just went on vacation together. So we'll have a lot to talk about with that. And that'll be private, and then later on in the night, probably like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, I'll post it on my Twitter. I'll post it on the post forum on this. So as the channel, I'm able to make random posts, kind of like how like a Facebook or a Twitter feed is. You're able to see weird posts, but it'll be next Sunday. And if you have Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, my Facebook isn't publicized on YouTube, not as a link, but if you're on Facebook, feel free to send me a friend request. I'll accept it. It's literally just my name, so you can quite literally just copy and paste it, and you'll see me sitting in the same position like this. It's literally this shot, just from last week's Dracula. I can't do it. I can't roll my R's right now. My throat's too dry. Dracula episode that I did. It's just a screenshot. So the cigar night will be next Sunday, probably, if I had to guess, between 7 and 8, and it'll probably go for an hour or so. So if you have notifications on, it probably won't go off until next Sunday, because I'm releasing an episode next Monday on Lizzie Borden. I'm having Rich back on to discuss Lizzie Borden, because that's the 133rd anniversary of the Lizzie Borden crime, or the case, which I think she's innocent, but we're going to do that, and then I'm going to release like a 5-hour marathon of part 1, part 2, and part 3. We're filming part 3 on Sunday, so then I'll film part 3, and then in a few hours I'll do the Dracula thing, which is really cool. What else do we got? My favorite line in Gatsby is Daisy's quote about warning her daughter to be beautiful little fool. Yeah, that is a really good quote. That I do remember that. Took me a while to fully understand that. Now that I do, it's insane how real that is. Bring friends. Yeah. No, with the cigar night, I'll have a friend there, and he's kind of going to be like talking to me a little bit more about the political stuff, and we'll be learning a little bit about it. But no, that's a really good quote, because it really embodies the journey of women in general. It really, I'm not saying it's right. It's not. But the journey of women is, they have to be kind of, it's not right, but it's the truth. They kind of face difficulty, especially when it comes to men and things like abuse. Like I'll say it like this: more cases than not, women face difficulty when it comes to men. So it's kind of like the road to womanhood, and I guess that's kind of what Daisy's saying is. Beautiful little fool is kind of just like, okay, just kind of go along with this thing and just kind of be oblivious, and things will just work out, because that's what's supposed to happen. And it's not right. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that, it's just kind of like the road to womanhood, and it's unfortunate, but it's just something that just happens. My favorite line in Dracula, and I actually tweeted it on my Twitter. Let me just pop this up real quick. I got a quick tab right here, right to my Twitter, so I can read it. But it's something from Nick, and it's a great line. I love it. And I tweeted it after I got a little annoyed last week with someone. It's a great advantage not to drink among hard drinking people. You can hold your tongue, and moreover, you can buy time. You can time any irregularity of your own, so that everybody else is so blind that they don't see or care. It's such a great thing, because I am 25 right now. I'm turning 26 next week. No, 2 weeks from now. I'm turning 26. So I used to be a hard drinker, and it was what it was. It's no big deal. Is what it is. But I don't really drink anymore, just because I'd rather be doing stuff like this. I'd rather read and gain some knowledge opposed to spending a fortune on alcohol. But that's a great line to me, because it's like, it just kind of like embodies like, okay, you can always take a bad situation and you can make the best of it. Like, it's a great, I will be 60 tomorrow. Well, hey, happy birthday, Lisa. Oh, my boss's name is Lisa. She turned 50 today, actually. She went to a local aquarium, and she really wanted to see the penguins. So Lisa, my boss, Lisa, if you're watching, happy birthday. I saw her boyfriend I saw her boyfriend today, because I had dropped off a homemade loaf of bread. The girlfriend makes bread. So I'd given her a homemade loaf of jalapeno cheddar for her birthday, obviously free of charge and all that stuff. But very happy birthday, very happy birthday. 60 is a great milestone. Any of the round numbers, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and so on and so forth, if you're lucky enough to make it that far, it's kind of like, yes, happy early birthday. There we go. Any kind of, milestone like that is like really, really impressive. And, you should always be proud of it because it's great. Yeah. But 30 for me, I'm like, oh my God, I'm almost 30. It's just kind of crazy, though. I feel like I matured faster than my friends, which is kind of where that whole me tweeting that, hold your tongue, don't drink amongst hard drinking people advantage thing kind of came from, because I was a little annoyed, not going to lie. But yeah, so next Sunday, there will be a live coffee hour. You can tune in right on this channel. It'll be a live setup like this, one camera wide on my patio, one chair, and the other chair will be two mics, just kind of chatting it up. Just kind of, oh, you're 25? Oh, that's wild. Yeah, me too. So yeah, it'll be kind of just chatting it up and talking and doing that whole thing. And there might be a live on Sunday as well, in the morning time. Or I'm sorry, on Saturday in the afternoon, morning time. It'll either be a live on Saturday morning / afternoon or Sunday morning. And that's because I've started recently doing an afterthoughts. So we filmed the traditional podcast in my living room, right behind this wall. And right after we finish filming, I like to go live. And the podcast isn't live. The podcast is pre-recorded and then released the following day on Sunday in the morning time. Because I feel like a lot of people like to watch my show while they make breakfast or while they sit down and drink their coffee, kind of where these coffee hours came from. And they kind of do that whole thing. And they like to listen to it. So we do that. But I go live after the filming because it gives a really good chance for people to ask questions. Like today we went live. It was called Afterthoughts. With Kennedy, we went live with it, and we just kind of discussed the case. We discussed a little bit about Lizzie because that's coming up. The anniversary is coming up next week, or I'm sorry, 2 weeks from tomorrow, or a week from tomorrow. So we'll be live on either Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning to do the afterthoughts. We're still working on the actual recording date. I'll have that finalized tomorrow and make a post about it. But then I'll be live Sunday evening, probably about the same time that we are now. So if this is a good time for you on Sundays, I will be live for that cigar night on Sunday. And I'm trying to get as many coffee hours out as I can, but I don't want to put out crap, because if I'm going to do a coffee hour on a book, I read Gatsby twice and I watched the movie once. I wanted to watch the movie twice, but I was determined to get this podcast, to get this coffee hour out today, because I just wanted. I hadn't done one in a minute, and I had fun doing the Dracula part 2. So I was like, okay, yeah, I want to do this now. That's it. So the Afterthoughts is a good live. You can tune in and ask questions or even topics for us to cover, book suggestions if you're there, and then you got the coffee hours, cigar nights that I do live. And then if I have time on Sunday mornings when the podcast release, and everything works out perfect, I'll do a watch party. So I'll go on 5-10 minutes beforehand. I rarely watch. I am in my backyard pulling some weeds as I listen to you. Well, you must be someplace that's either Midwest or far west, because I'm in Massachusetts and it's 9:13 at night and I'm drinking 2 really strong coffees and I'll be wired for the next 3 hours. So I don't recommend drinking 2 coffees with me right now, because because you'll be up all night. But if you're somewhere like California where it's 3 hours delayed, or even a different country, then you're in Illinois. Okay, so what's the Illinois time difference? It's got to be 2 hours or so, right? What's Chicago? What is Chicago? I don't know. Pulling weeds is crazy. Yeah. Fortunately, my girlfriend's in love with the farming, and she loves the planting and stuff like that. Her grandmother together, and her grandmother's 80? Caroline. How old's your grandmother? 86. She's 86 and she goes out there and she starts farming. And she'll outpace me and she'll outpace my girlfriend too, which is kind of crazy. But hey, more power to her. And, 8:15. Wow. Oh yeah. So okay. So you're an hour behind me. So Chicago. So there we go. Problem solved. Chicago's an hour behind us. So yeah. So I guess it gets dark around like 8:15, 8:30 for us here. So I guess that's very similar to you guys. I've never been to Chicago, but I've always wanted to go to the Windy City. But yeah. So the ways to tune in for the live stuff is you get the afterthoughts, you get the coffee hours, the upcoming and new cigar nights, and then if I have time, the watch parties. Sometimes that's 4 lives a week, and it's a lot on the weekends. So like a lot of the times, like a lot of the gear doesn't even get torn down. So it's like, okay, the gear will stay here and then it'll get moved, boom, shuffle it all over the place. But it really happens. All 4 happen in 1 week. I have to be really productive and busy that particular week. And it all depends on how much work I get, how much, work I have throughout the work week and how much time I have to prep in the evening time. Cause that's when I do all my prep. I've started flying through books recently because when I can, I listen to them. And if I have the time, I read them. So it's kind of a mixture of both. And I flew through Great City back 15 years ago. Not so safe anymore. Yeah. I've heard about that. I have a friend that lives out in Chicago, and he actually is the artist that painted this right here. His name's David Krolikowski. I think that's how you pronounce it. I gave him a shout out during the first coffee hour. If you're an art fanatic, kind of more like a gothic kind of art guy, then I would suggest his work. He's on Etsy. I'll throw his link down in the description. So what I do is I tape these and I go live, and I'll take the recording and I'll edit it real quick. I'll throw like a little name badge like down here, and I'll throw some links on it and stuff like that. Cool thumbnail. And I'll throw it back up on YouTube as a video just to get, more traction, more publicity. But when I do that, I'll throw his link down there. Yeah, David's a cool dude. He's always helping me out. I've bought 5 paintings from him. Does a great job. It's more of a Polish artist. Your friend is. Yeah, seriously, Krolikowski. Let me see how David right here. I have it as a quick link because I'm always on his shop checking it out. Let's check. It's called the Classical Art Store on Etsy. That's where I buy his stuff. David. Actually, it's not on Etsy. His name's not on Etsy. It's more on Instagram. So I have to go on Instagram. Give me 1 second. 1 moment, please. While I just produce this real fast. David. Should pop up quickly because him and I message quickly. Oh, yeah. David Krolikowski. Similar to my name, my last name is Rosczewski, spelled Roszczewski. And his last name is Krolikowski. So I guess what's the similar part is the last 3 letters, or the last 4 letters. But yeah, no, David does a great job. I love his artwork. I plan on buying more from him. And I'm planning on doing a, like a photo shoot with the girlfriend. And my friend owns a Victorian mansion. It's his business. And I plan on doing like a really cool photo shoot with him, with her actually. Yes, he is Polish. Yes, he is Polish. I don't know if I'm Polish. There was a little bit of a hiccup in like my family tree and stuff like that. So I'm not particularly sure if I'm Polish. I know I'm Cuban and South American. I would love to see his work. Yeah, so if you're into like gothic work and like horror work, I definitely recommend his stuff. He does custom work. The girlfriend and I are looking to do, take a picture, take a couple pictures, like really cool formal pictures in the nice, beautiful Victorian mansion and get it custom painted. Him and I talked about it not too long ago. There's also a beautiful piece that I want him to make. He made it as like a fundraiser. I can show you. It's on my laptop. 1 second. It's how I'm reading you guys, is my laptop's right here. But once I minimize these tabs, I can show you. I hope it will come up. Yeah, if you can see that, it's beautiful. So you got like the grand piano and the chandeliers, and then two ghosts, and it kind of works with how like the symbolism stuff, because it's like it just showcases like eternal love and stuff like that. But it's one of my favorite pieces. But he doesn't make them, or he doesn't have that available anymore because it was a raffle. So I hit him up. I was like, hey, would you even consider making this again for me? And he was like, dude, I'll do that for you totally. Oh, you guys are artists. It's funny because like when I started buying the artwork from David, he also offers some, what do you call it? Like charcoal drawing. So what kind of art do you guys do? So he offers like charcoal stuff, and I wanted to learn how to do the charcoal stuff myself, because he did like dark, like really gothic and dark, I guess charcoal drawings, and one of them was of what is Krampus's, like the Pope, like, so like, okay, I have to look. Now it's killing me, but I have it right here. Black Peter. Yeah, he did like a really cool drawing of Black Peter, and I was very interested in it. It was a bit pricey, so I have to budget for it properly, but I'm really interested in that particular piece itself. It's a really cool, like, dark picture of Black Peter, and it's something that I'm really interested in buying from him. Yeah. But what art do you guys do? Right now I'm actually, yeah, there you go. Okay, you can see that. Cool. But yeah, and I personally, I never really got into art. I played instruments for a few, but it was more so like copying murals. Oh, that's a really cool skill. I had a friend, Bridget, who I used to work with a while ago, like 12 years ago. I was 15. So yeah, I'm 25. So 10 years ago. Why did I think I was 27? Too much coffee or not enough. But she painted murals, and her and I worked together at a restaurant, and she was a few years older than me, probably 19 or so. And she painted a mural in the owner of the restaurant's home, of him. And from what I heard, I had never seen the actual, like, a photograph of it, but from what I heard, that it was just an outstanding piece that took years to create. It's funny, like, on the gentleman's site that I've been referencing for the past 10 minutes, he does a lot of like really intricate paintings that cost a lot more money. As the time, and you can tell like the detail on certain things. Costumes that move? What do you mean costumes that move? What do you mean, like? So like what I think of when I hear costumes that move, I think immediately of like kind of like Comic-Con. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but that's kind of how I see them, or that's immediately just what my brain goes to. The electronic costumes. Do you know the Great Gatsby was inspired by the mysterious origins of Rudolph? Is it Edward? Yes. Okay. So I was right about like the fancy costumes. All right. Cool. Theater. Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah. Theater. Word. But I did not know that. And I need to research that because I did not. Rudolph Valentino in Prince Edward's. Well, I've heard of Prince Edward. I don't know who Rudolph Valentino is, though. That is something that I should research. I would love to do a second episode on that. It's funny that you mentioned theater because in my it's like kind of like a side gig as I do theater tech because I enjoy technology. Obviously, that's why I'm here. But I do as a side gig, I do theater tech, like lighting and sound design and stuff like that, which is kind of fun. It's stressful, very stressful at times, but it always pays off in the end. And I'm always able to look back at the projects and go, a lot of electronics involved. I don't know if you mean your costumes or if theater tech involved or theater tech itself. He was very famous. Silent movie actor in the 1920s. Actually, I took a editing course in college. Must have been last year or so. and the editing course had us kind of go through all the early films and stuff like that. So like we started with La Luna de la Voyage, La Luna, as in the moon, La Luna de la Voyage, I think is what it is. It's French for the trip to the moon. Silent film, one of the first silent films, one of the first, because it's not the first, because the first, I believe, was, if you want to consider it a film, and the history of filmmaking started with the horses. I think it was 12 cameras or maybe 24. I believe it was a division of 12, I guess, if you will. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a series of 12 cameras, and they set up it for a horse race with tripwires, and as the horse went, it would trip the cameras, and they made a bet that all four legs of the horse weren't up at the same time, and the photographs through the movie type of showed, it was kind of like an accident, kind of showed, that the horse did have all four legs up at the same time. But yeah, I went through that, and then we went through the Great Train Robbery, which was really cool. That was a good one. It was funny because like I took the editing course, so I watched that, and then my girlfriend took like a film class because she was also in college at the same time, and since graduated, and she was taking it, and I was like, okay, all right, this is what this means. This is what that is. What don't you notice here? They're doing different angles and cuts, and it was very innovative for the time. In the 2013 movie, you can see his name as part of the movie playing. What do you mean? Are you talking about the Great Gatsby movie? When was that released? Was that 2013? Was it that long ago? With what was the actor who played Gatsby in that newer movie that came out? Oh God, I'm terrible with actors' names because I don't watch much TV. Are you talking about Great Gatsby? Is that what you're talking about? The movie that came out? What? I gotta look it up now. Now it's gonna kill me. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. It did come out in 2013. Wow, that came out in 2013? I thought that was recent. That was very well done for 2013. Very well done. Yeah. Tobey Maguire did a really good job. He was like exactly who I thought, Nick Carraway was to be. Like he was like exactly who I thought. Like he did a great job with it. Excellent job. Excellent job. Leonardo DiCaprio, that's what it was. Yeah, okay, there we go. Yeah, that's right. Leonardo DiCaprio did a great job in the movie, as he always does. I was first introduced to him during Titanic. I remember my mother used to watch Titanic all the time. It was saved on our DVR. So we would watch Titanic at least once a month, maybe semi-monthly. But I was introduced to him in the famous door scene and stuff like that. I kind of am like a Titanic enthusiast, not in like I know everything about it kind of way, but I subscribe to many Facebook pages about the Titanic, and I'm always looking at new scans of the ship and stuff like that, or maybe not new scans, but scans that are new to me. Kind of like how Dracula was new to me, but it really came out in 1897. And how The Great Gatsby was new to me, even though I read it back in like 2016 and didn't understand the book. Another book that I want to cover is The Glass Castle. I remember reading that. I remember going, wow, that's a really powerful book. It's an interesting book because everything can shatter, and it's kind of symbolic of what's going on in the world today. I live in Halifax. Titanic is in our DNA. Halifax. There's a Halifax right next door to me, a town, Halifax, Massachusetts. Or are you talking, isn't there a Halifax in England? Are you from England? Oh, that'd be fascinating. That'd be crazy. I don't know if I've ever met an audience member that's from a different country. That's really cool. I hope you are. I hope you are from England. That'd be awesome. That'd be a great way for me to judge how the monetization's going. Nova Scotia. Okay, all right, cool. Word. Yes. Halifax is in your DNA. But yeah, I mean, yeah, the Titanic is a fascinating case, and I've looked at trying to find like original. I don't know why it might be weird, but I enjoy it, is like older vintage newspapers. I have a couple of them hanging up in the dining room because the dining room's kind of Victorian era as the whole house is. But I have a couple of them hung up. But I've looked into trying to find like original, like actually like original Titanic newspapers, and they're out there, but they're pricey. I planned on doing like a cigar night on the JFK theories and the Lee Harvey Oswald theories and stuff like that. JFK, if you're from Nova Scotia, you might not know who I'm talking about. If you do, fabulous. JFK, former president of the United States in the mid to early 60s, was assassinated. One of the biggest investigated, if not the most investigated, crime to have occurred on American soil in the 1960s. And I was looking for original newspapers from that particular media coverage, and there were thousands. But I was looking for it because I figured it would have been a cool, or an interest, not cool because an assassination's not cool, but an interesting prop to have during the discussion during the coffee night, or even if it was a cigar night, if I wanted to discuss it. You agree? Cool, awesome. Love it when people agree. Yes, I know of him through his connection of Marilyn Monroe. That's something we did not touch on. That is fascinating. I don't know much about it with his connection with Marilyn Monroe, but Marilyn Monroe is a interesting character on her own. Maybe I could do, you know what, that'd be kind of fun, is if I could do a coffee night on the history, because it would kind of tie in. Maybe that's what I can do, because I won't have another book read unless it's a shorter book by next weekend. So maybe I can do an episode on JFK, because it will tie into the past couple of weeks that we did, and then JFK with Marilyn Monroe. They'd tie in the podcast really well. That's a great idea. Thank you for that. I will do that. It's really good. Because last week we did an episode on Ted Kennedy, which is a direct relative of JFK. I believe they were alive at the same time. You should do a coffee night on Rudolph Valentino. I don't know much of anything from Rudolph Valentino. I'd have to do some research on it, but I will absolutely do it. Hey, I'm 25 years old. I have another 75 years, so I am going to be needing content. Let me... Rudolph... I want to make sure I got the spelling correct. Rudolph Valentino, Valentino. Word. Awesome. I have that down. I will do that. And then I want to do Marilyn Monroe, because I will forget. Fantastic. Yeah, that's a great idea. I'll have to do some research, but through our other messages, if I remember correctly, he was tied to the... Now I forget. Yes, the 1920s movie acting. Yes, we did discuss that. I will do a cool coffee hour on that because... So my full-time job, I kind of work with students that are interested in film. And it's unfortunate that I don't know who that is. Maybe I do, just don't know the name. But in my full-time gig, I work with like high school students on film and radio, and helping them create their own personal brand, and working with them to really build something for them to work on once they graduate high school. So I'm always talking about the great train, the American train robbery, the great train robbery. What is it? Yeah, I forget what it is. And then La Luna de la Voyage. I talk about those things about once a year, typically about around Halloween, because we start talking about the Dracula films and stuff like that. Yeah. But this has been great. Any other like last minute ideas? I've been kind of going for an hour and a half, and I'm kind of out of Great Gatsby material. I kind of went through everything that I had prepared, but I do plan. I had great traction this episode, even with all 5 of you that have been watching this. This has been the most involved coffee hour, and I'm super grateful and thankful for every single one of you. It's been a blast. Has the longest standing memorial. He died in 1926, and they still meet. Wow. Yeah, I will definitely have to do a. Yeah, that'd be great because that would fit in really good because I'd be able to talk about the old school stuff and even a particular movie. Maybe I could analyze the movie. I could do a whole thing on that. That'd be a blast. Yeah, definitely. But cool. If you guys have any last minute requests for Great Gatsby coverage, throw it in now so I can get it in. But I do think that I am gonna end the coffee hour. So thank you thank you everybody for tuning in. This has been a blast. This has been the longest coffee hour, and I'm almost done. My coffee is now pretty chilled, but about 1/4 left on it. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure you guys subscribe and like the video so that more people and more like-minded people can join the community, join the conversation. Happy birthday to Lisa. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoy your 60th. You are fun. Thank you. Yes, Lisa, happy birthday. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope to see you in the other lives coming very soon. And thank you for all the great ideas and everything like that. But it's been a blast, and it's been fun. Thank you guys so much, and I hope all of you have a great night.